Hi, I'm Carl. I'm going to be taking you through how to replace a receptacle in the wall. And I'll do this step by step so you can see exactly how it's done. The reason why I'm replacing this receptacle, although it actually works, it's in good shape, is because this receptacle and two others are not grounded. And so I need to replace it with what's called a ground fault circuit interrupter. It's referred to as a GFI. And I'm going to replace it with this to compensate for the fact that it's not grounded. And by grounded means that the wire inside only has the black and the white, and it doesn't have what's called the grounding wire. And this is actually what keeps us safe from getting shocked or electrocuted. And it so happens that it's not attached inside. This is old wiring from 1956, and at that time they didn't have the ground wire. So I have to compensate for that ground wire. Now, how I know that this isn't grounded is with this circuit tester. And as I put it in, I'm going to use this tester to show me that this in fact has an open ground. Both of these lights should be on if this outlet was good. The fact that this one is out tells me I have an open ground. It also says that on the side of the tester, the correct is two yellows on, and I only have one white on. So now the challenge that I have is I have to figure out where the power is coming from. So we have what's called the line, where the power comes in from the circuit breaker, and then everything beyond that is called the load. And I have two more receptacles that I know do not have a ground, so I have to make sure I know which of these lines is actually feeding the electricity to all three receptacles. To do that, I'm going to take this apart and then go out and turn the electricity off, take the outlet out, and then turn the electricity back on so I can check the wires to see which one is actually feeding the electricity into the house. So I'm going to start with taking this off. And everything fell. So now I'm going to go out and turn number 14 off. And I know that's 14 because I did a map of all the outlets and the lights previously. In fact, if you haven't done so and want to learn, refer to my video right here in this link, and it'll show you exactly how to do it. So this says number 14. I'm going to go turn circuit 14 off. I'll take this out, make sure, not going, I'm safe. Oftentimes the wire is wrapped around this screw. In this case, there's actually these little slots that the wires have been put into, so I have to use a thin screwdriver to take them out. So I'll push into the hole and pull those out. Here's a better shot of the slot. Push in there, push in here. So now I have my wires separated. Now I'm going to take a critical next step, and that is I need to know which of these wires is providing the power or electricity. It's called the line wire, L-I-N-E. And I'm going to go turn number 14 back on, and then I'm going to retest this because I have to know for a GFI which one is providing the power. So now I'm going to check the wire. You can see that the light is on, so I know that the power is coming through the left-hand side. And I'm going to confirm against the right-hand side. And it doesn't come on, so I know this is my power line. So I'll test the second receptacle. No light. The third receptacle, no light. So it is the first receptacle that is feeding these two. Turn it back off. Since I'm going to be moving these wires around a little bit, I'm going to put some tape around this one just to make sure I don't forget. It's just a little safety precaution. By the way, I want to point out a book that I've been using. I bought this in 1985, Sunset Basic Home Wiring. And I refer to this a lot. It has all the information I need to handle 99% of what I want to do in the house. So this is a great reference for working electricity, including GFCIs, how to cut holes, to put stuff in. It's just a real handy guide. So I have referred to this many times over the years. So I've decided to replace the gang box, and there's a metal one in there. I'm going to replace it with what's called an old work gang box. It's a handy little thing. When I push it in and start screwing it, this will actually come up against the drywall on both sides and secure it in place. So now I'm going to take it off. Now this is going to require that I use a Sawzall. If you've got one, this is a really handy tool. If you don't, I encourage you to purchase one if you can. Not all of this work requires a Sawzall. This one does. But I'm going to show you some tricks I've learned in using it. One is, I always like to know what the depth is of my gang box because I don't know exactly where the wires come in on the other side. And I want to make sure I don't hit them. So I'm going to put this in here and work with this edge only. In this case, I have to get underneath this gang box. There's a 2x4 right there, and it's nailed in. So I've got to cut that off. That popped off nicely. We'll go to the other side. And that's all. Terrific. Now I can take the gang box out. I was using the Sawzall to cut the nails right here on both sides. Pull it out. There we go. While I'm pulling the wires out of the gang box, I'm double checking to make sure I didn't accidentally cut into the wire. So got the old gang box out. There was nothing there to protect those wires from rubbing against the side here, possibly causing a short in the future. Surprised, I'm glad it hasn't to this point. So everything's good and ready for the next step. I got some miscellaneous stuff in there. You never know what you're going to find in these old walls, and I like a clean area. Alright, so now I'm going to put the old work gang box in. Really, all I'm doing is breaking a piece of plastic right there. Alright, now, I know this is where the electricity is coming in, so I'm going to put it on my left-hand side, which is the one I did. There we go. Ooh, my pliers, here we go. Pull those through. And this is kind of hard to push through here, and it should be, because when I'm done, I want that plastic flap there to be pressing against the wire very firmly to hold it in place. Remember, that's what was missing off the original gang box. Alright, got my power line coming in. So here's a better angle on what I was snapping. And this is what's called the load line. This is the line that's going to carry the load of electricity to the rest of the gang boxes. Outlets. I'm going to hold both of them here. As I'm doing this, there we go. All right, almost. I want to bring it through enough that that wire is pushing in. I mean the coated part right here is actually in a little bit. Okay, and it's good. So now, as I mentioned, when I push this in here, as I screw this in, oh, I've got to tap this in a little bit. Scrape that away a little bit. I want a tight fit, or good fit, but I don't want it to be over tight. There we go. Alright, now, as I mentioned, as I screw this in, those flaps are going to come in and hold against the inside of the sheetrock. Just want to firm, want to make sure I don't over pinch it. So I'm watching for this to go in a little bit. There we go. Okay, now that's nice and firm. These are solidly in there, and I can finish by putting the GFI in. This is the back of the GFI. When I talk about the line side, that's this side, and the load side is this side. So this side is going to get wired no matter what. But if you're adding receptacles downline, then it'll go to this side. That's the reason why that tape is there. So you do this one first. This is where the electricity is coming in, and then this side. And you also notice that one side has the copper or gold color. That's for the black wire, what they call the hot wire. And this side has a silver color or chrome, and that's where the white or neutral wire will go. Split that apart. Now I'm going to strip these three wires so that they'll fit around the screw. I'll show you how to do the first one. I won't show you every single one, because when you've done one, you've done them all. So strip that off. I'm going to bend this around. When I bend this around, I want to make sure that I am putting the loop with the turn. So as I tighten this up, I know that it is going to tighten this way, right? Righty-tighty. And so I'm going to actually make sure that the wire follows that same motion. Now I'm going to take this yellow one off because it's time to wire the load side. Alright, it's time to put this one back in. Make sure that's level. And we're all finished up there. Now I'll go turn the line back on and make sure everything's in order. So I've tested all three of the outlets, and they're all working, which is great. So I want to thank you for watching House and Garden Hacks, and I hope this was useful to you. Have a good day.